What's up, Capoeira Nation? Welcome back to the Capoeira Experience podcast. Thank you so much for listening and being part of the Capoeira communities. Keep supporting your school, keep supporting your teachers and your local Capoeira community. Remember, don't worry about logos, don't worry about groups. Let's do Capoeira, let's do all Capoeira together. It doesn't matter what kind of style we do it. Well, as long as we all come together and we have fun in the hot. So today is pretty cool because I always say in the podcast, uh, don't be afraid to reach out to be part of the podcast, and I'm really happy when the Capoeira community reach out and share the part of their experience because this podcast is about the entire community. I don't care if you have one day or 100 years doing Capoeira, as long as you come here and share your Capoeira experience. So my friend Aruera, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How are you today?
Good, good, good. So he reached out to me, talking about the vlog I was doing for my bachisado to like repairing my beating balls, and it's really cool because uh I think it's a part where I say like like how do you repair your beating balls? Let me know because I want to know how people repair the beating balls because I mean there's many ways to repair stuff.
Yeah.
And but before we get into those kind of topic and a little bit more into details, what is your social media so people can follow you?
It is at Aoeira, Capoeira, all together.
Nice.
So yeah, and that's for that one. And then for Facebook, it's just under Joey Jimenez. And if you're in Capoeira, we should have a lot of friends in common to begin with. So it'll
Oh
be easy to
yeah.
find me. Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. Perfect. And you are all the way in San Antonio, Texas, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, nice. And um tell us a little bit about like your capoeira background, where you started and all that.
Okay. Yeah. So I started here in San Antonio when I first started. I hadn't done anything at all, like no type of movement beforehand. And I was walking down an event called First Friday here. So every first Friday
Nice.
of the month, artists kind of go downtown and they show off like their art. And I saw this group and I didn't know at the time, but they were doing capoeira.
Yeah.
So I recorded them and left and went about my day. And a while later, I put it up on my computer and I saw that like their group said Capoeira Luanda San Antonio, and I was like, no way, they're in my city. Like I need to go check this out.
Oh,
And this
cool.
was
Nice.
yeah, this was a little over 7 years ago, and I'm still in it today.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice, nice. 7 years. That's pretty good. That's
yeah.
really nice. Yeah. And what are your teachers and what will be your supervision in your city?
So in our city, we have Instructor Montaña,
Nice.
who is the instructor here, and then the person who supervises him is gonna be Contramestre Esquilo, who is in Austin. He's about an hour and a half away from us.
Nice, nice,
Yeah.
super, super good capoeirista, and I've seen him, and I love so much Mr. Yelon, and I've been
Yeah.
trying to have him on the podcast multiple times, but he's so busy. He's so
Yeah.
busy.
Extremely busy. Yeah.
Yeah, and plus he's with his company like dance company
Yeah. With
and
Dance Brazil and
yeah, man, I was like, Mr. Let's do it. And but he was like, oh well, I gotta do this kind of stuff. I'm like,
yeah.
oh yeah, well, I have you on the podcast so bad. But one day, I'm pretty persistent, and one day I will have him.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. It'd be a good podcast.
Oh, for sure. And so Aruera, how where the name came from? Aruera,
Um,
why Aruera?
so before last spring break, I had extremely long hair. I had
Oh,
really long
nice.
curly hair that came down probably like to my mid to upper back. And when I
Wow,
first
that's
started,
long.
I think I had it like always in a ponytail, so it'd be bushy.
Yeah.
And I like to do bananera a lot in the whole that
Nice.
and out of it. It was one of the things that I think one of the first movements that I felt okay with. Like I
Yeah.
said, before capoeira, I didn't do anything. So I was always really shy about movement and I didn't
Okay.
even want to do the movement part. Like I didn't like the exercise at first and it was
Yeah.
like terrible for me. But yeah, well, handstands were one of the first things that I was like, I really like this. Like I want to keep doing this. Like,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Nice.
So
Well, the important part is like you overcome that, and like you say, I started on the exact same spot. I was like, I'm very shy. I don't know what the hell I'm doing right now,
yeah.
and I don't know this. capu something I'm doing right now, and well, let me try and see if I like it. And
Yeah.
here I am.
Right.
I think we are, yeah.
Yeah, it takes you like that. It's an awesome experience to kind of be able to engulf yourself in something so much and to see how much it actually teaches you the entire time
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it helps a lot with like confidence, and it just makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The I remember I was that shy. It took me 1 year for me to play in the capoeira and in the hoda to play in the hoda.
Oh, wow.
So I was super 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 shy,
Yeah.
and my first game it was so nervous. I was like two jingas and one malo de frente, one jinga and malo de frente and get up, and that's it. And then from
Yeah.
there, well, now like
I
you gotta pull me up.
I had a similar experience with Instituto Montaña here. He would always teach us a lot about history and other people in capoeira, big figures. And he was talking about Mestre Giganchi at
Nice.
one point, and I was like, is there any possibility that I can be like Mestre Giganchi and like not play in the hoda but just do instruments? And he broke it down to like it was the nicest way of saying no.
Yeah,
He was like, you want to be more well-rounded than that, and I'm like, oh, okay, like I guess this is when I have to start putting effort into doing
yeah,
it, like
yeah,
into
yeah.
moving.
What made you thinking that you didn't want to like play in the harder?
Just like I said, I wasn't really athletic beforehand, and I never seen
Yeah,
myself as like a really athletic person. So
yeah,
it was very scary for me.
yeah,
There
yeah,
was a lot of people around me who were a lot bigger, who were stronger, faster. And
yeah.
I realized later on in capoeira that just because somebody's bigger or like faster than you, it doesn't mean anything, right? You
100%.
still and I think that's what helped me. But at first I was like, man, like I don't want to get kicked in the face. Like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want to
yeah,
and my
yeah,
reflexes were so bad at the time that I'm like, I'm gonna get hit at some point. But luckily, up until this day, knock on wood, I
yeah,
haven't.
yeah.
I've been kicked a few times, but nothing serious yet. So
Nice, nice. Oh, that's
yeah,
good. And
yeah,
and again, like you said it perfectly. Like doesn't matter like size,
yeah,
color, age, and in capoeira, and everybody can do it. And it's pretty cool
yeah,
to see the transformation from that thinking to this thinking now, and it's really cool.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and now getting a little bit into the topic of the podcast.
Okay.
Uh, how do you repair your beating balls, or when you what was your thought when you saw me repairing the beating balls, and what would be your feedback from me repairing your my beating balls there?
Um, same thing as always. If you wanna repair anything, it's gonna take a lot of time. Like, sorry, you should take your time with it.
For sure.
Um, I've noticed one of the things with repairing, and especially even in making the gourds, if you rush anything, it's gonna come out bad. Like
Yeah,
regardless of what you're trying to do. That's how I've cracked so many cabasas trying to finish them faster than I should or
that's funny.
anything like that. So just take your time. One of the things as well is, and I don't know if it's not like super common knowledge, but wear a dust mask or something whenever you're doing it, just because some of the cabasas have a little bit of a trail of the mold, and this is before I went scrape it all
Oh,
off,
yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff you do not want to inhale, and it stays inside a little bit too. But yeah, it's really preferred to like wear something with all types of woodworking,
Yeah,
and um just
that's what we were talking about in the chat when you reach out and be like, hey, make sure you wear a mask. And I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
it the same thing happened to me. There is a person in our group, Tiffany, and she's a ridiculous woodsman. Like anything she like can think of, she can create it, and
that's
like
so
just like
cool.
that, she's
That's
so
so cool.
talented. And I remember I got really sick working with the cabasas because I didn't have a dust mask, and here I am, with
Well,
the cabasa in my face trying to scrape things out.
yeah.
And she's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, you're gonna get sick. And sure enough, like I had a couple of days that like it was just terrible. Like I had trouble breathing and like I got congested and
Wow.
all this stuff. Yeah, it really messes with your lungs. So she was like, don't do that anymore. Like you need a dust mask. And I actually think she went and bought me one and was like, here, like
Oh
wear
man.
this from now on.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, now you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thankfully, I haven't get anything like that. I get sometimes like a runny nose, but
Yeah,
that's it. But that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Because all the cabazas I have probably like I have 6 and have the six
Okay.
cabazas for these, and I have probably like 8 or 10 more like spare cabazas
Okay.
that I also repair them. And
Nice.
I did the exact same thing. I was like right on my face, it, like sandpaper in them,
Yeah.
and now I know.
Yeah.
And how long? Well, what is your process on fixing the cabaza first? Do you also repair the beating ball, the verga?
So the Verga itself, I haven't repaired any. I built them.
Oh, okay.
I've seen several things, and I like to look into just different types of woodworking because I know that it lends itself really well. Like it's interchangeable. I've seen people who fix like bow and arrows, and they'll use sometimes fiberglass to repair it and mend it. Um,
Cool.
and I've seen parts where if a berimbau snaps in half, they'll put it back together. And this is for the berimbau itself. And they'll use some type of wood glue or something, and then they'll wrap, like leather or something around it
I've
to
seen
to
that too. Yeah.
retain that. So that's what I've seen, and I've seen it done by Instructor Montaña at our school, just to kind of give a berimbau a second chance.
Yeah.
But as
Yeah.
far as doing that myself, that one I haven't done. I've worked pretty much with cabasas as far as repair, and the repairing process for me is first trying to put pieces back together. So I have some that were given to me, and I'll show you.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Sometimes they come in, you know, kind of in shambles. So this one was, like I said, cracked all the way through. You can see me through it.
Wow. Yeah. Like
And
if somebody listening to this, you should watch this video because this cabaza is broken, man. It, man, it's like crack all the way, has holes all over the place.
yeah, and
It's pretty cool that you can put all this back together, man. Some
so I
people,
went.
I've seen. So sorry to interrupt you, but
Oh,
some
go
people,
ahead.
the cabaza breaks like that and just throw them in the trash.
Yeah, and that's what, it's unfortunate that sometimes it happens, and I
Yeah.
really feel like sometimes it's difficult, and maybe this was just my experience, but especially for a non-native Brazilian to find any type of instruction, that isn't in Portuguese, because every time I looked up, how to make a cabaza, how to do this and that,
Yeah.
like it was a
Everything's
lot of the times in
brilliant.
Portuguese, and
Yeah.
if you're just starting capoeira, it's so difficult to kind of grasp that if you don't speak it yet. So it's really cool to kind of look out there and see. And I've had lots and lots of people. Thankfully, I talked about Insuto Montaña. He was one of the people that helped me. There is a person named
Nice.
Graduada Seguania here as well,
Nice.
and she was one of the first people to help me out as well, as far as giving me cabasas to work with and stuff.
Oh,
So
cool.
I
Okay.
I owe a big debt of gratitude to both of them. And like I
Yeah.
said, Tiffany would help me out with working all the time. And it's amazing that they give you a little bit, and I kind of took it and ran with it, and now I'm here
Yeah.
fixing
Yeah.
cabasas and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Did she gave you the cabaza already like broken and to fix it?
No, so
No.
what Graduada Seguña did was
And
okay,
we're back.
perfect.
And we're back. Cool. Okay. A little bit technical issues there, but that's okay. That happens. And we were talking about like she gave you the cabaza, right? S-
Yeah, so like I said, it was right during whenever COVID hit and quarantine started. So I lost my job. I had lost pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And I was kind of here like a little lost because Capoeira shut down the gym, the everything that I would
Yes.
do. So I didn't know exactly what to do. And I spent, the good part of a month kind of sulking around and like
Man,
not
that's
doing anything, feeling sorry for myself, and it hit a lot of people
yeah,
very,
for
very
sure.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and she was one of the people too who was like, and at this point I had already made a couple of cabasas, but I had lost the drive for anything. And she was like, hey, I have a bunch of cabasas that I think you should work on. Do you want them? And I'm like, yeah, like, that'll give me something to do throughout the day. I don't have anything to do. And
Yeah.
I thought she meant, 5 or 6. Now, this girl gave me like 30 cabasas.
Wow.
Yeah.
She
And
really had cabazas.
yeah, and she and I was like, how much do I owe you? And she's like, we're all going through some stuff right now, like don't even worry about it.
Yeah. 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 That's
And
awesome, man. That's so cool.
so I did that, and that was, I think that's why I grew so attached to cabasas. That was my therapy throughout the entire thing. I would wake up one day and work on one until I felt like it was good, or if not, I would wake up, look at one, or sort them out, or just be there with them. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
something for me to do.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a big lifesaver for me working with cabasas in general. So,
That's
that's
so
one of
cool.
the things that I'm always talking about. I'll always owe a bunch of gratitude to the people who helped me. And, yeah.
100%. Yeah, oh, for sure. Did she give you the cabazas like all like closed or like ready to get some work on?
Oh no, they were, so I had some that were completely closed off, and some that were
Okay.
had been previously cut open, but
Okay.
most of them were, yeah, like completely raw cabasas.
Nice.
They had, for the most part, I think they had the outer shell cleaned,
Oh,
but
cool. Okay.
they hadn't been cut. None of the inside had been cleaned or anything like that. So
Yeah,
it was a good process, and it was a good way to kind of reconnect with that,
for sure. Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, I was
Uh,
gonna show you this one.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll pull it up a little bit closer. It had cracked completely open from here, and I
Oh
don't know if you can see the
wow.
line.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
all the way down, and it had split.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I
You got
have
like
a
broken
couple of
half?
other pieces.
Or
Yeah, it
much?
was completely wide open, and I have videos of me repairing it. I'll try to share them with you later.
Yeah.
It was split in half, and I still have the other pieces that I'm
Yeah.
slowly putting back together.
It's like a puzzle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's so cool. And what is the process when you put it together? What kind of material do you use to put all that together?
So I use wood glue, and let me grab it really quick.
Yeah.
It is. It's just your standard the Gorilla Glue wood glue.
Okay.
It's this one,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
and
For good,
um
right? That's good.
yeah, it's really
Okay.
good. And I found that using like painter's tape or tape in general
Yeah.
will help out a lot with getting things to adhere well. And I told you I had another cabasa that broke recently, and if you can see,
Yeah.
it is,
Ooh.
yeah.
Wow.
And
It's
luckily,
literally split in half.
yeah. The one thing that I do find fortunate about this one is because it has a layer on the outside.
Yeah.
It's just one straight crack on each side, so it's easier to mend it and to repair it than
Yeah.
if it were to have shattered. All I do is literally come in and take off, um, put some wood glue in there.
And you use the blue painting tape to hold it together, right?
Yeah. And so after I get a decent amount in here, I'll just spray a little bit. You want to get enough to kind of soak in to the entire thing.
Yeah.
Um, And it doesn't matter if it comes through a little bit. You can always sand that down
Yeah,
later
for sure.
on both the sides, but you want to get enough to really cover
The crack.
the
Yeah.
inside of it. Yeah.
And
And
and do you think it's a better like try to glue it from the inside?
so what I like to do is, if you can go from the inside and just, this one is easy to split open because it's cracked in half, but if
For
you can
sure.
split a little bit, go ahead. It just leaves a little bit less to clean up on the outside.
Okay.
And if it's that bad, you can go on the outside too, and really, go to work on it too.
Okay.
Wood glue for the most part, especially if it has any type of like resin or like an epoxy or polyurethane, a finish on it,
Okay.
you can just go through and scrape it off once it's dried up. So
Okay.
it's not that big of a deal. But once I apply some of the glue, I like to take a piece of tape, a pretty decent size, and you want to hold the cabasa as tight as possible. Don't leave like any space for gaps.
Yeah.
And as you're doing that, you're gonna go and just apply a piece of tape on one side,
Nice.
and you're gonna pull through as tight as you can. And then that should hold it together at the top. And then you can keep going down further and further, or start from the bottom and go up. And it should have a really tight
Okay.
um, adhesion at the very top.
Nice, nice. And just so you know, if you are listening to this, he's pretty much walking me through or of how he fixes the cabazas and how so he's pretty much doing it right now. So if you have the chance, if you have a broken cabaza and you need to repair it, this will be a very good way. And that honestly, that's pretty much the exact same way I do.
Okay, awesome.
Um, and uh, it will be really good for you to watch this so you can repair your own cabazas. And if you don't know how to repair your cabasa, you think it's going to take you too much time or you don't have the patience, just reach out to him and see if he can like walk you through. Or you also sell cabasas too, right? You also
Yeah, I do sell cabasas. All of the ones behind me, minus the one at the very top, were made by me. the very top one up there, the kind of like a walnut color, I bought from Mestre Nanel whenever he came to
So
visit.
cool, man.
So yeah, it was one of those. I have it at a higher pedestal than mine, right? Because he's one of
Yeah.
the legends.
Oh
So
man,
so
he's the son of the legend, and then he became the legend.
yeah. And
That's so cool,
so
man. That's so cool.
I have it there, and yeah, if you feel like you're in over your head. Let me see.
Your mic disconnected. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Is it back
There,
now?
there you go.
Okay. Yeah, if anybody's having any trouble or you feel like you might be in over your head, feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram and I'll gladly try to record something to guide you through it. Or if not, if worse comes to worse and you need, somebody else to work on it, if there's a way we can ship it out to me, I'd be glad to repair any, cabasas that are sent out, because like I said, it is truly my passion to work with these with the cabasas. So
For
I
sure.
would definitely help out anybody who needs it, because just like you talk about all the time, it's a whole community that we have. It doesn't
For
matter
sure.
what name or the logo. First, we're all capoeira. So
100%. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
here to help out anybody who I can.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. I appreciate that because it's a long process, and you have to have a patience to sit down and figure out, like, especially if it's shorter, like the big cabasa that you have there,
Yeah,
and it's a puzzle. It's a completely puzzle, and once you put the glue on and that thing dries, man, that thing is together already. So yeah, so
it's difficult. Yeah,
you better put it together right at the moment where you apply the glue, so that way you don't, if, because like I said, if once that thing is glued, is no way to go back.
yeah.
And do you have any website where people can find the cabazas, or how can somebody listening to this find the cabazas?
So my cabasas, I don't have a website yet.
Okay.
Same thing, just reaching out
Cool.
through
Okay.
Instagram at Aoeira Capoeira. I have some of them posted on there.
Okay.
I'll get some more posted soon, but just shoot me a message through there, and I can send you, all the other ones that I have. Or if you have any special requests for some, like any different colors or whatever, you can send it to me, and we can talk about the colors and options and everything like that too, and the various sizes and stuff
For
for
sure.
that.
Awesome,
One
man.
thing I was going to mention as well, if you need to take off a top layer from the
Yeah.
cabasa, like of epoxy or of like polyurethane, any type of finish,
Okay.
there's a it's like a varnish stripper that's called citrus strip, right?
Oh.
CITRI strip,
Okay.
and it's a like decent sized like little tub. It's yellow,
Okay.
and you apply it to your cabasas, and that will take off the top layer without having to sand it.
Oh
The only thing
man,
is,
I
is
need.
you just have to wait a day afterwards to let it dry out completely before you apply the next layer.
Yeah.
But that's
Is
what
it?
I did. I'm
So you
sorry.
say, so how do you apply it? How would you apply that?
So the way I learned it, and again, this was from watching different woodworkers
Yeah.
everywhere. I would look them up on YouTube and stuff like that. The way that citrus strip works is that the longer it stays in contact with that area, they use it for like tables that they're trying to refinish or whatever. It'll
Yeah.
it'll start peeling off the top layers of the
Huh.
varnish, and as long as it stays moist, then it'll keep working. So what I did, and this is one of the cabasas that I worked with, and I'm trying to
Oh
find
man.
the difference. If you can see
Yeah.
how shiny this one is,
100%.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
this one is a little bit more dull. This one right here. Um, I put the citrus strip all around it, and then I put a really thick layer. And then what I did was actually use just plastic wrap from like
Yeah.
food,
Yeah.
and just wrapped it all the way around, so it kept it without any air getting to it, so it
Okay.
stayed moist. And I left it there for a day, and the next day I came in, and you can use a little rubber or like a plastic scraper, or if you have like an old credit card or old membership card to somewhere,
Yeah.
and you just scrape it and it comes right off.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I wish I didn't. I knew that because it would be so easier, man. I was sandpaper
yeah.
everything.
Sanding can get really tedious. It's
Yeah.
so difficult after a while, especially if you have to redo it over and over to keep your cabasas looking fresh for events like you were doing.
Yeah.
It's a lot. The only thing with those as well, try to do it in a well ventilated area.
That's how to ask
That
you.
one doesn't smell as bad as some other lacquer thinners. Some of them
Okay.
are like, they smell terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Very very heavy.
Yeah, just wear some gloves with that one, because on the label it tells you if you get it on there and if it makes too much contact, you can get chemical burns from it or whatever. And
Oh,
it's not
okay.
and it's not like if it's immediate you're gonna
Yeah, for
feel
sure.
it, but if you leave it there, it'll start, doing some damage over time. So it's always best just to wear gloves and
To
stuff
be
like that when
safe.
you're working with any type of chemicals, not just the citrus strip. I've had times where I was working with the finishing coat with the varnish,
Yeah.
and I was in a hurry, right? So I didn't put on gloves or whatever,
Yeah.
and I stuck my bracelets to my hair and had to rip out my own hair to get it out.
Oh
It's
man.
things like that you pay at the end for not taking those 10 seconds just to put on gloves or whatever it is that
That's
you need
so
to do.
crazy. Yeah, yeah. Will you do you wear mask too just for the
Yeah,
chemical?
yeah. So I
Okay.
have my mask right here as well. This one, because I used to have a big plastic mask, and it in San Antonio it gets super hot and it's always humid.
And humid,
So
yeah.
this is the one that I used to wear.
Okay. Okay.
And it's just anyone that you can find from like Harbor Freight Tools or Home Depot or
Yeah.
anything close by. And now
That
I found these on Amazon.
oh cool, okay.
Um,
And that's pretty much
this one,
oh,
and it
okay.
has the filters inside of it. So, and
Okay. That
it's
that looks
just
like the
a lot.
altitude mask.
Yeah, like that one. Yeah, but it has the filters, and it's a lot easier to adjust this part. And it
Okay.
even comes with the little strap that goes over your head if you need to lift it up and
Yeah.
adjust that.
Okay.
But
Cool. I like
and
that one. I like that one.
yeah,
The
and
one person you showed is pretty much like um painter's mask, right?
yeah, it's like a painter's mask just to avoid any of the debris and stuff like that, any
For
fumes
sure, yeah.
from getting in. And just like I said, those from the Amazon one, it was like $12 for two of them, and they come
Oh,
with like
cool.
four different, yeah, it comes with four replacement little filters that go inside.
Yeah.
So, if you
That,
buy one set, you'll be good for the next, 3-4 years, however long you want
yeah.
to use it for.
Yeah, yeah.
But
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And so that's how you repair the cabazas. And
mhm,
man, I wish I knew about the that varnish removal
yeah,
because with the liquid that liquid is going to 100% clean it because
yeah,
we use the same paper is there some little spots that we're going to miss
yeah,
and
definitely.
so easier. So I'm definitely gonna do that next time. And what are the beating balls? You say you repair the like just a couple, or you haven't repaired
Yeah,
any?
yeah. So those I've seen Instituto Montaña repair, and I don't have any here. The ones that I have done that I have here that are broken, those have been because whenever I picked the wood, I
Yeah.
didn't see that there was a knot or it was rotting through already. So they
Oh
like exploded the first time I tried to string them, and
man,
it's
that
just part of the
hurts.
game, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you spend all that time and and it blows up in your face, and it's not like it's the end of the world. You
For
might be
sure.
hurt a little bit, but you look at it and you're like, okay, cool. Now I have some grimas to play makulele with or something, or I
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
XYZ. So it's cool. And if you finished it, you can always take off the leather piece from the top and use it on a different one
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
continue going like from there. But yeah, as far as the bit and bows, I don't have any with me that have been repaired here.
Okay, okay. And we also talk about in the chat
Mhm.
about not using varnish because I
Yeah,
remember on the beating ball on the
yeah,
verga itself. Um, I remember I saw Mr. Nenel too. He talks
mhm,
about like the varnish, it compresses the sound of the beating ball, which is funny
yeah,
because I mean I didn't know that until I saw him talking about it.
yeah.
And uh, a varnish looks nice, but again, it compresses the sound of the or changes the sound of the beating ball. Even probably the regular human ear probably wouldn't notice.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think one of the best things you can do is if you want to apply any type of finishing coat to the bit and bow just to preserve the wood, um you can put like you can put oils into it to begin with to rehydrate the wood after it's been drying.
Yeah.
Um I've seen people use like coconut oil mixed with oh man, I'm forgetting the other one. It's one of the essential oils that people use all the time, and it helps to keep it
Lavender or
from
something?
rotting on the inside. It's
Oh,
something
cool.
like lavender, yeah. And so you can do that, and after it dries out you can just use it's polyurethane. It comes like in a can, like a spray paint can,
Okay.
and you add a fine coat and that'll kind of seal all the rest of it out, and it's super super thin, like very thin to where you won't even see it on there. And if
Cool.
you get a semi-gloss one, it'll give it a little bit of a sleek shine to it, but it won't cake onto it. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've had trouble with. Like when I tried painting bit and
Yeah.
bows and stuff like that, I would always see like the layers would get thicker and thicker, and it would dull out the sound for me. So
Yes.
that's when I started switching over to just staining the actual cabasas themselves. So everything behind me, I have used a stain in order to do it. So
Oh,
there's
cool.
nothing on top of the actual layer of the
Yeah.
cabasa. It's all like absorbed into it, and that's where the paint is at, or the stain itself.
That's so cool. And they look shiny. Do Is a specific stain?
Yeah, so the stain itself is I use just a dye for
Okay.
yeah, I found a leather dye that I really like to work with. And I saw, again, I was looking up and somebody was building a guitar and they were wanting to paint it, but they didn't want to use actual paint, so they used
Huh.
leather dye and stained the wood that they have. So I was like, if they could do that on the guitar, I can do that on the
Oh,
cabasa,
oh
like
yeah.
easy.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
so I started with some of them, and again,
They
each
look
each
so
bit and bow is
shiny.
gonna
So
have.
cool.
Yeah, thank you. This is so after I'm done staining them, I use a two-part epoxy.
Yeah.
And so it comes in two different bottles. You mix them together, and it'll it gives you like I think it's like 3 or 4 minutes of mixing, and then you have like 45 minutes to work with it. And if you apply it on there, it'll give a really decent coat to it. And the reason I like the epoxy resin for working with the cabasas or finishing them is because if it does happen to take a fall, you have that extra layer of protection. And
Okay.
most of the times, if they do crack, just like the one I showed you earlier, it cracks straight down instead of just shattering on you. And it's a
Because
lot
that
easier.
layer keeps it together, right?
Yeah, yeah, it'll
That's
keep it
so cool,
together,
man.
and it provides, like, structural like integrity to it. So even if it does mess up, it's not to the point where it's ruined completely. And even if they are, if you are able to, you can just cut out the little circles and make Caxixis out of the cabasas that you
True.
can no
Yeah.
longer use. But yeah, and I have another one right here that I just finished repairing. I was finishing this one up and it
Yeah.
fell, and it has a crack. I don't even know if you're gonna be able to see it, but it's
It's a little
from
hard to see it.
here. Yeah, it
Dark.
it cracked all the
Okay.
way through and split open. But again, if you use tape, you won't be able to see anything at all once you're done
Yeah.
with it. It keeps a really good bond to
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah. Well, and once you put it together, it's
mhm,
finished, and you use the string to hold the cabasa on the beating bar.
mhm,
Um, really long time ago, I saw people that they used to put like leather piece of leather
mhm.
the inside of the cabasa. And but I also what I do is how you have that cabasa is just like straight string to the
Yeah. Yeah, so I think the leather, I've heard two different things for it. One of them was that it helps out with sound if your cabasa buzzes.
yeah.
And also I think it helps out with like structural support, especially if it's been broken before. So I have one here
Oh,
that, if you can see, it's been broken. Actually, I
yeah.
think this piece is like out complete. Yeah, this one, sorry, it falls out.
No
Um,
worries.
I put it in there so I wouldn't lose it, but this piece comes out. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
Literally is like the crack on the holes. That's so fine.
yeah, so if you go back and glue this together once you're done, if you apply like a piece of leather on the inside, it
Yeah.
helps to take in some of that tension, so it's not just on the cracks anymore, and it'll help to keep it together.
Yeah.
um as
Especially
far
because
as
it looks like the beating bow like fell and the cabasa just came off.
so that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
We were at a show, and I we were walking through, and this time it was completely my fault, but
That's all
you
right.
know
Uh-huh.
luckily I have an instructor who's very passionate and didn't kick my butt for this one. But we were I was getting things ready, helping out in stringing bit and bows, and I had finished stringing it up, and I laid it against the atabaki, just like you usually do at shows,
Yeah.
or like the wall or whatever. But when I did, just that little gust of wind that comes in,
Oh my
came in,
God. I
and it
know.
was, it took like, I saw it all in slow motion just as it
Everybody
fell.
tried to like grab the
Yeah.
beating bow. Ah,
And it fell and it hit, and the bit and bow, nothing happened to it, right? It's just this part popped clean off, and I
yeah.
was like, well, like, there's that cabasa, like,
Yeah.
here's another one for me to fix now. Like,
There's another problem to fix. Nice.
yeah,
Oh, nice that you can fix
yeah,
it.
yeah,
At
definitely.
least, uh, the instructors know how to fix it, and
Mhm.
they also have you to fix it.
Yeah.
and to help out with those kind of stuff. Because like I said at the beginning, sometimes people say like, oh, you broke trash, and
Yeah.
when you can actually repair it and it's gonna sound the exact same.
Yeah, and that's what I try to do each time is if I have any recordings of that specific cabasa before it was broken, I'll
Oh,
try to go
cool.
through
Okay.
and like try to get it to as original as it sounds, because I think it might be like at the 90% of what it sounded like. Maybe it's not going to sound exactly like it did before,
For sure.
but if
Yeah.
I can get it anywhere near it and looking good at the same time, because the looks are always secondary to me, right? Like
For sure.
if it looks good but it doesn't sound good, like that's not a good
Yeah.
kabasa. It
Yeah.
should sound amazing first, and if I can do that, then I'm happy with the end product. But yeah, and on another like slight note, if somebody's looking into getting into cabasas, don't think
Yeah.
you need super fancy tools to do it. When I first started, Instituto Montaña taught me, and I did everything by hand. No power
Yeah.
tools at all. I used a box cutter to cut out the top of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you go through with the sandpaper. You use a spoon to scoop out everything on the inside,
Yes.
and
Oh, it's cool.
you know
That's how they used to do it.
yeah, and I think it teaches you a great appreciation for
100%. Yeah.
making it, because you're pouring your life energy into doing, that kabasa, or to making this instrument. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
think if anything, I think everybody should at least try it one time to make something strictly by hand.
Yes. Yes. Because that also like it teaches you, like, let's say that you help somebody or you go somewhere
Mhm.
and you don't have the tools. How are you
Yeah,
gonna do it? Like
yeah,
how you can teach that person, like, be like, oh, well, I don't have the tools, I'm not gonna be teaching you. So
yeah.
it's better to learn how to do it like that, with the old school, soaking the cabasa to making it soft, and then
Hmm.
use I use a screwdriver
Okay,
to open the holes. No, no,
okay,
sorry. Very thin knife, very
okay.
thin knife with a very very sharp point,
Point.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and try to penetrate into the cabasa and make the holes, like little holes around
Okay.
until the
Yeah.
until the top pops off,
Smart. Yeah,
and
that's
then
awesome.
eventually with the same knife you start like cutting around to
Okay.
cut to make the form of the flat uh, uh, mouth of the cabasa, if we can call it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then again use a spoon and cleaning it and all the process. I've done all the process by hand too,
Yeah.
and it's good to learn all the, again, so because if you don't have the tools, how you're gonna do it, is
Yeah, and that's one thing that I think I had trouble with at first. You see some people using very fancy equipment or whatever, and you're like, man, how am I ever going to get to do that? Like, you don't have to learn how to use like super
yes,
fancy, or you don't even have to spend money on expensive things.
yeah, for sure,
If you have a power drill lying around, you can use that to start the little holes. If you have a little Dremel piece, and I'll show you.
yeah, yeah.
All I have is a super like inexpensive from Walmart, um,
Hmm.
you know, drill,
Yeah.
and I have this piece. Uh, and sorry, again, I'm not like the the manliest man in the world, so I don't know what all these pieces are called, but it's just this little piece right here, and
Okay.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you can see it well,
Yeah.
but it and all I do is the same thing. If you don't have time to soak the kabasa all that long, you just go through and you can start making holes all the way around it with this
100%.
with
Yeah.
the little power drill. And then afterwards, the same thing, it pops right off. You can clean out the inside, and it just makes it a little bit easier with that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
again, just like you said, with the sharp knife or a box cutter, just start it and it'll come apart with
Yeah.
with some time and patience.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's well, at least like I like to build craft. So
Yeah,
it's so cool to see, like, from the raw kabasa, like all ugly looking, to la super nice kabasa when you say like, oh man, I made that. It looks really, really
yeah,
nice. And then you put on the beanie ball, it's like, dude, it sounds pretty cool.
yeah.
So it makes you very, very happy.
No, it definitely does. Seeing that end product is makes everything worth it, right? All the like the blood, sweat, and tears as you're
Oh
doing it.
yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And you also, at the beginning of the podcast, before we started recording,
Mhm.
uh you put a beanie ball together.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
put one together, and I was gonna do it to show this one off really quick.
Yeah.
It's the one that I just finished, like I said, gluing and putting everything back together. So I don't have a true gunga with me, but this is gonna be like the little supplement version of it.
For sure. And again, the cabasa that he's putting together, you should watch this on the YouTube channel because um it's pretty cool to see how all these cabasas came apart. And man, trust me, sometimes when those cabasas break in front of you, or you hear the sound of the cabasa cracking, it's so painful. And it's like, oh my god, the cabasa
Yeah.
just broke.
So
But it's there's a way to repair it.
yeah, no, there definitely is always. And I'm gonna do this particular playing just a little bit without the Caxixi so you can hear the sound of
Yes,
the
yeah,
cabasa.
yeah.
Here's the
Nice,
yeah.
nice. And that's the cabasa that you repair from a bunch of cracks
Yeah,
because I can see the
and what I
repairs.
noticed too is sometimes they have a little bit of a dull sound, and after you add that resin or that stain to the outside of it, that
Yeah.
hard shell kind of acts as a little bit of like an amplifier for it. It makes the resonating go a little bit
Okay.
stronger. And
Because
again,
it
this
gives
one,
the sound there, right?
yeah, and this one it still has pieces of glue that I need to take off and
Okay.
things like that. So it's gonna dull it out, but I'm proud of the way this one's turning out so far, and I'm just excited in general for to see the final product whenever it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, for sure. And tag us on that video, and I will repost it on the story. And
You should, yeah,
very cool. It's again, it's pretty cool to see the process of the, like, from the scratch to when it was completely broken to when it's already ready to go and ready to play on the video. It's really cool. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm very happy to see the process, and there's somebody like bring those cabazas back to life.
yeah, definitely. And it's one of the things that I think, just like everything else in capoeira, if you want to learn it, it's not necessarily, the instructions are not difficult, but it's not easy in the
Correct.
sense you have to take your time to learn it. It's just like in the Hoda, right? Like we're doing the same things now, like you were talking about doing Ginga and Melo French in your first Hoda,
Yeah.
you know, we're doing that still, but now we're doing it with a better vantage point. We have a better
Yes.
outlook on it. So if you
Correct.
start off with any type of kabasa or instrument working, it's not that it's getting easier. You're just spending more time around it, and you're naturally evolving with the craft itself. So
Correct.
yeah.
Yes. And it's pretty cool to see, again, to see the process. And again, so sometimes we make stuff overcomplicated when they're actually not that complicated.
Yeah.
And it just takes times. It takes time to repair. It takes time to, like anything. You know what I mean? Like you said it perfectly. That you just gotta put the time on, and I'm pretty sure you can get it and you can fix
Hmm.
it. Well, man, thank you so much for sharing your experience, especially with the cabazas, because it's really cool to see, uh, for people here to learn how to repair their cabazas if there's a little crack, or is it like completely broken. So I
Yeah.
appreciate coming here
Yeah.
and share your
Thank,
experience.
thank, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it, and it's awesome. From going to being a listener to the podcast to being on here and
Nice.
like being able to share my experiences. So it really does mean a lot that you're, reaching out to like you said, literally everybody in Capoeira, that we all have our stories. And it was, I think, oh man, I want to say it was 2 or 3 podcasts ago that you said, it doesn't matter if you've had like 3 hours or 30 years in capoeira, like
Yeah,
you
man.
still want to hear everybody's experience. So
Yeah,
it's so cool to be able to listen to everybody's story, and
yeah.
again to be here sharing mine. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you, man. Because capoeira is about experience. Capoeira is about, like, even the capoeira experience comes from the very first time you step into the class. Because
Mhm.
sometimes the new people, if there's a lot of people in class, you step into the class and then you see all these people talking with a uniform, white uniform, with these weird cords hanging on the
Yeah.
side. And then you see a weird instruments, and like, oh, it's a martial art, but it's drums and instruments, and
Mhm.
what is this? And then you see the movement, and at the end the class, and I want to see the process. And because everybody has different experiences. Even if we all have 20 years, 10 days a week or whatever,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, definitely.
it's pretty cool to learn from those processes, because especially as an instructor, to see the outside and be like how these people see our classes when they step in. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
man.
it's really cool. And yeah, just like I said before, it's one of those things that I think for so many people it's so intimidating. Just like you said,
Oh yeah.
everybody's kind of matching, has chords, and there's so much going on around you, that you get into class and you know it's been 20 years or something since you've done a bear crawl, and that's like the first thing y'all are doing to warm up or whatever. Like you're
Yeah.
moving around on the ground and you're like, okay, this is like weird. But I think for anybody who wants to try capoeira in general, if you get over that like initial fear, you'll realize like the people in there are like such loving people. And
Yes.
I
Yes.
think capoeira is single-handedly the reason that I have so many friends and I can, pick up a phone and travel anywhere I want to. Not right
A
now,
hundred
obviously, but
percent.
at any point you could travel and go
Now you can travel
to.
to Indiana, man.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah,
See,
of course.
and that, and just because of capoeira, people are already family, just right
Yeah,
off the bat. So it's really cool to see that camaraderie between everybody.
100%. And it's funny that my previous interview with Mr. Fejadura,
Hmm.
he mentioned that, like, is really cool to see how far capoeira is now,
Yeah.
because he mentioned, like, I'm originally from Venezuela, and he's like,
Okay.
you from Venezuela doing a Brazilian martial art,
Hmm.
and then you move to the US, and you bring with you this martial art, this Brazilian martial art, and
Yeah.
then in the America community, you still welcome even when there's no Brazilian martial art, when it's not Brazilian community. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, so this community welcome you because you do the exact same thing. So it's really cool to see all these connections just because of capoeira.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's awesome to be able to go out, like I said, anywhere and have somebody there for you
Oh
if you
yeah,
need
it's
it.
pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, you go Facebook. Okay, I'm gonna go Indianapolis. Okay, who's there? Oh, Caxixi is there. Oh, cool. Okay, hey, you have a place for me to stay? Yeah, sure. Let's go train. Okay, let's go. And already there, and then you never know. You probably have a friend for the next 20 years.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, right. That's what we can all hope for, is to make some long-term
Yeah.
friends and all
Oh
through
yeah, for
capoeira.
sure. And yeah, for sure. And it's really cool to one day see somebody in, I don't know, San Antonio, and then
Yeah.
2 years later see in New York. It's like, dude, I haven't seen you since then, and
And
it's like it was yesterday, and then you start talking, and it's like nothing happened.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see this. And again, I mentioned this almost every single podcast. Like, this
Mhm.
capoeira is about people. Without people we don't have capoeira, and
Yeah.
we need to be a little bit more open to people for us to be all together. And then at the end of the day, the holidays for everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, man, thank you so much. I'm gonna let you go, and have a amazing day. And thank you again for sharing your
All right,
experience.
bro. Thank you. You too.
Yeah. All right. See you.
All right, goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for getting this far. Remember, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up on Facebook or YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is going to help us and help me to get bigger numbers and bigger subscribers, so we can give more information. Okay, please, if you're listening, I know you're listening, I know you're watching, please give me a subscribe, give me a like. Okay, I know you're watching right here or listening. All right, have an amazing day. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening every single episode, especially the episode we just did. All right, thank you so much. Peace.